Hi, I'm Floex and you are watching Muno.pl. It will be almost 1 year actually, and I put these people together after I released the last album Zoria, about also 1 year ago. And it was every person is different story how I found them. Yes, definitely. It's first of all it's more fun when you're working on the album to bring some people, make something together, and second it brings more colors and so on. So it was really good for me, and all these people are really so nice. I mean, I continue with them, somehow we are in contact, and I think there will be more stuff what we make together. For me it's in studio, sometimes it's hard work, you maybe don't know how to continue the song, and sometimes you struggle, sometimes you have lots of fun. But here it's you made some work and now we are bringing it here and you are having fun with it. I make of course some more calm music, it's really, I think, more dynamic and kind of musical. But not so dense and so on. So sometimes on the festivals it's hard to get people involved. They have to focus more. It's sometimes harder than, for example, in some small hall or concert hall. But when this is connected, then it's cool. And I think it worked here quite well. Now it's some really intensive period, and I also make different stuff. One is some multimedia works, second is soundtracks. I work on soundtracks for games, and some people know, I found out that some people know it because they were shouting on me when I was playing live. And the last one, most important for me, is the Floex stuff, which is now on the top, but it's 10 years from the first album, so it's a different situation. So now we are concerting really very much, which is for me now it's really intensive period. I think it was 10 to 14 concerts per month. I think we have quite similar situation. It's kind of, I call it cultural periphery, syndrome. In my case, I have big luck with the soundtracks because it's surprisingly successful. With the soundtracks for the game, I made around 3. The most successful was the last one, it's called Machinarium. And it's a really different kind of games. It's kind of almost interactive animation movie, and people really like it. And somehow through this channel, which is not geographic, it's really different. It's somehow spread out through the world, and usually people found me like this. And now when I released the album, some promoters found out about the music and they asked me directly, but it's not we would have some international booking and making lots of concerts. So it's connected with this. And maybe also I have some friend bands. For example, now we have been in Edinburgh, what I mentioned, and it's friends of mine who also discovered me. It's called, their band is called Hidden Orchestra, and they are what we do, and they invited us to Edinburgh, and we will probably make some other shows in London together. Yeah, I think it has some influence. Well, definitely one is that I make also multimedia art. For example, now we made one project which is called Archiphon and got really successful. It's probably my most, I was studying about 6 years and really hard working on this multimedia project, but it was still very underground stuff. But surprisingly, just this year we made with my friend one project which is called Archiphon. It's basically some interactive installation in the interiors of the buildings. You can play on the interiors of the building on some musical instrument. And it got really successful, so we are now on several festivals, also traveling. So this is one moment which is for me also musical stuff. It's just music from a little bit different point of view, not for the CD linear, but little bit different thinking about the music. And second is, I think when I compose, when I was older, it was very much about synesthesia, like I saw images and it helped me like to compose music. But later it's more about stories. I usually like make up in my mind some story and it's somehow connected with the music what I make. Also on the last album there are stories behind, and for example there is many tracks called according to some persons like Casanova or whatever, and it's usually, you know, some story which inspired me for the music, so somehow connected in different ways. It was big like support for me, especially with the last album, because I had really long pause. Like I made the second album 10 years after the first, which is quite long time. So it was kind of comeback. So I was really happy that somehow people reacted to that new album. Well, I think it's definitely different focus. Like with the music, what I make, like Floex, it's yeah, it's like for me like kind of kink discipline, you know, like the main one, and you have to really work hard and find the important motifs, music, and so on, musical themes and so on. And with the music for the games, actually you have to a little bit like put yourself somewhere, like to make the space for the image also and so on. It's more like about creating atmosphere and sounds and so on. So I would say, like for the games, it's more relaxed, but it's kind of more sure work maybe. Like I'm more experimenting with the sounds and so on. I think with the Floex stuff, with the main project, it's like it's bigger adventure. Like you don't ever know where this music leads you, because I compose like linearly. Like I start with the first bar and usually end up with the like end. Some people make different ways, like they make some loops and after they compose the song from that. But I'm really like, you know, old school guy, starting first bar and finished. And it's really like, for me, this adventure, like you start something and it's starting to develop, and at some point you have some motifs or elements that you work with, and then you have to find out how to finish the story. So it's some kind of adventures. When we were working on the game, I had unfinished stuff, so it was kind of, you know, I saw undercover. So I wish I could get it like, you know, totally like unknown thing for me and play it from the start. Definitely next year I will work on soundtrack for the next game of Amanita, which is the studio that I work with, Samorost 3. And also I make several, I mentioned the Archiphone installation, but we make just in months in Brussels and also probably in Brazil, so I'm very curious about it. It's really interesting because we, as I mentioned, it's installation in spaces, and the space is always different, so you come to the space and you are inspired by the space and you make the music or the installation out of this space, so it's always different. So it's kind of also like interesting project for me, like, you know, at one point it's the same concept, but on the other hand it's always like exciting to find out what you can get of this space, so I'm curious. And also I would like to make some EP probably the next year for Floex, but not the new album. I think it will be longer time.